You know that feeling when you're on vacation? Everything just works. The friendly check-in, the perfect room, that smiling server bringing your drink. It's all designed for total relaxation. But have you ever stopped to think about the people making all that magic happen? For them, the tourism industry is a world of long hours and crazy schedules. So today, let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on behind that vacation smile. And we're going to be guided by a brand new study from 2024 published in the journal Current Issues in Tourism. It really digs deep into what truly makes employees in this super demanding sector feel satisfied and supported at work. And the researchers just nail the problem with this quote. There's this massive disconnect, right? We all depend on this huge industry for our downtime, but the very people working in it are often the ones who can't get a break or find a balance with their own family life. So that brings us to the big question we're tackling. Beyond just a paycheck, what are the secret ingredients? What actually creates a genuinely positive work environment for the millions of people who make our holidays happen? Okay, so the first major insight from the study is a really powerful one. It turns out it's not just about having the right policies written down in a handbook. It's about creating a culture where people feel like they can actually use them. So let's make sure we're on the same page. When we talk about work-family policies, or WFP for short, we're talking about the official company rules. Things like flexible hours, parental leave, or getting time off to take care of a sick kid. These are the tools that are supposed to help. But here's the absolute key difference the study points out. On one side, you've got policies that just exist on paper. Yeah, the rule is there, but there's this unspoken fear, what happens if I actually use it? But on the other side, you have a real culture of support. That's where people feel safe, they feel encouraged to find a genuine balance, and there's absolutely no fear of payback for putting their family first. And this is where it gets super interesting. The research found that just having these policies available, while it's a good thing, didn't really have the huge impact on job satisfaction you might think. On its own, the effect was actually pretty small. The study even called it residual. It just wasn't the main event. So what was the main event? A culture of organizational support. Look at this number. That feeling of support, it directly explained 17.41% of an employee's job satisfaction. Now, that might not sound like 100%, but in a study like this, that is a massive, massive piece of the pie. Way more significant than the policies themselves. That feeling of being valued, that's what really moves the needle. All right, so if support is the big secret sauce, how exactly does it work its magic? Well, the study uncovers this incredible domino effect, a chain reaction that kicks off with support and ends with real satisfaction. Let's trace it step by step. It all starts with that strong, supportive culture. That's domino number one. When that's in place, it directly boosts an employee's emotional well-being. They feel less stressed, they're more positive. Okay, so that emotional boost then tips over the next domino, better physical well-being. We're talking less tension, better sleep, and finally, that powerful 1-2 punch of emotional and physical health, that is what ultimately leads to high job satisfaction. So the big takeaway here is that support isn't just some fluffy, feel-good idea. This research proves it kicks off a very real, very tangible chain reaction, directly linking a company's culture to its employees' mental and physical health, and then to how much they actually enjoy their job. But wait, it's not quite that simple. As it turns out, this chain reaction we just talked about, well, it doesn't work the exact same way for every single person. An employee's own personal situation can really change the game. The study found what are called moderating factors. In plain English, that just means the strength of those domino effects can change depending on two big things: an employee's gender and whether or not they have family responsibilities, like taking care of kids or aging parents. So here's a concrete example. That link in the middle of our chain, the one between emotional and physical health, was found to be way stronger for men who had family responsibilities. It just goes to show how the pressures of balancing it all can hit people differently. And it's a perfect example of why a one-size-fits-all approach to support just isn't going to cut it. So what do we do with all this information? This isn't just theory. This research is basically a practical playbook for managers and leaders in the tourism industry who want to build a happier, healthier, and more effective team. So here's the game plan. First, you got to train managers to actually be empathetic leaders. Don't just assume your policies are working. Check in with anonymous surveys to see if people really feel safe using them. Make emotional well-being a priority with things like workshops. And maybe the most important thing of all, Leaders have to build a culture where taking time for your family is seen as a strength, not a weakness. This final quote from the study really just sums it all up perfectly. Having the policies in place, that's just step one. The real game changer, the thing that unlocks everything else, is creating that environment of trust where people can use those policies without any fear. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. As we all become more conscious travelers, you have to wonder, will a hotel's reputation for how it treats its staff become just as important as the thread count of the sheets? Maybe, just maybe, the best 5-star service can only come from a workforce that truly feels supported.